Hello everyone, so in problem 4 we want to solve the integral of the absolute value of sine x minus cosine x times dx with x from 0 to pi. Now since this problem concerns with absolute values, so we need to find out what intervals of x would make the value of sine x minus cosine x be negative and what intervals of x would make sine x minus cosine x as positive. So now let's take a look. We want sine x minus cosine x to be equivalent to 0. So we can see that x equals to pi over 4. So we can kind of split this integral into two parts. The first part is from 0 to pi over 4, and the second part is from pi over 4 to pi. And the body of the integral, well, you see when x equals to 0, sine x minus cosine x is negative. So the first part is the integral of cosine x minus sine x with x from 0 to pi over 4. And on the other hand, with x equals to pi, we see that sine x minus cosine x is actually positive. So the body of the second integral would be just sine x minus cosine x, and x is from pi over 4 to pi. If we draw this onto a graph, we can see that it's sort of just like this. The red line indicates cosine x, and the yellow line indicates sine x. With x from 0 to pi over 4, we can see that sine x is actually smaller than cosine x. So in that case, when we want to calculate the absolute value of sine x minus cosine x, we actually have to inverse it, and so it becomes cosine x minus sine x. So anyways, now we're going to evaluate these two integrals. The first integral is cosine x minus sine x, and this should be quite straightforward. The integral of cosine x is just sine x, and the integral of negative sine x is just cosine x. So you just put them in, and x is from 0 to pi over 4. And then the second integral, we can see that it is negative cosine x minus sine x. So how about let's take that negation to the front of this integral and see that it becomes minus cosine x plus sine x with x from pi over 4 to pi. So now what's left is to substitute x with pi over 4, 0, and pi over 4 into these formulas. So in the first part, we can see that with x equivalent to pi over 4, sine x is just 1 over square root of 2, and cosine x is also 1 over square root of 2. So we combine these two together, we get square root of 2. And then when x equals to 0, sine x is 0, and cosine x is 1. So, well, the first term evaluates to square root of 2 minus 1. And similarly, the second term can be evaluated to negative 1 minus square root of 2. You just substitute in x with pi and pi over 4. So there you will get the final answer. The final answer is 2 times square root of 2.